Socrates is speaking. In leaving this place without having convinced the city, are we doing harm, even to those we should harm least of all? Or are we not doing harm, and we are abiding by our agreements, since they are just? I can't answer your question, Socrates, because I do not understand it. Well, consider this. If we were about to run away from here, or call it what you will, the laws and the commonality of the city were to arrive, stand before us, and ask, "Tell me, Socrates, what are you intending to do? Do you have anything else in mind than to destroy us, the laws, and the entire city too, as far as in you lies, by your plan of action? Or do you think any city can exist and not be overthrown when its just enactments have no force and are rendered ineffective by private citizens and set at naught?" What answer would we give, Crito, to these questions and others like them? Someone, especially a rhetorician, might have a lot to say about the subversion of this law, that judgments once delivered stand supreme. Or shall we reply that the city did us an injustice and did not decide the case aright? Shall we say this or something else? This, by Zeus, Socrates. Well, what if the laws were to reply, "Socrates, was this also agreed between yourself and ourselves, or did you agree to abide by the judgments the city pronounced?" Now, if I were surprised that they asked this, they would probably say, "Socrates, don't be surprised at the question, just answer it, since you make such a habit of asking and answering questions. Come on, you are attempting to destroy ourselves and the city. On what grounds? Firstly, didn't we bring you to birth, since through us your father married your mother and begot you? So tell us, do you find any fault in those of us who are the laws concerning marriage, because they are unsound?" "I find no fault," would be my reply. "What about those concerning the upbringing of children, once they are born, and the education you yourself received? Or did those of us who were established for this purpose not issue good instructions when they directed your father to educate you in music and gymnastics?" They were good, I would say. So be it, but since you were begotten, reared, and educated in this way, can you say, firstly, that you are not our offspring and our servant yourself and your ancestors? And if this is the case, do you think that justice between yourself and ourselves is on an equal basis, and that you are justified in retaliating to anything we set about doing to you? You did not have such equality towards your father or your master, if you had one, so that you could retaliate for whatever might be done to you, either by responding to any harsh words, striking back when struck, or doing anything else of that sort. So do you think this will be permitted towards your homeland and the laws, so that if we set about destroying you because we think it is just to do so, you may also set about destroying us, the laws, and your homeland, to the best of your ability, and may claim that you are justified in doing so, you, a man who truly cares so much about excellence? Or have you, as wise as you are, overlooked the following facts: that your homeland is more worthy of respect than your mother or father, or all of your other ancestors, and is more august and sacred, and more exalted in status, in the eyes of the gods and of men of intelligence, that when your homeland is angry, she should be revered, obeyed, and assuaged, even more than an angry father, and you should either persuade her otherwise, or do as she commands and suffer in silence, if she prescribes any suffering by being beaten or imprisoned, that if she sends you to war to be wounded or slain, this is what you must do, for justice consists in this, and you must not surrender or withdraw or desert your post, that in war, in a courtroom, or anywhere else you must do what your city and your homeland commands, or else persuade her as to where justice lies, that it is unholy to use force against your father or mother, but much more so against your homeland? What will our reply to all this be, Crito? Are the laws speaking the truth, or not? I think so. Then consider, Socrates, the laws might say, whether we are speaking the truth in saying that your actions are unjust when you set about doing what you are doing to us. For although we begot you, nurtured you, educated you, and gave you a share of all the benefits we could to yourself and all your fellow citizens, nevertheless, we make an open declaration giving permission, allowing any Athenian who wishes to take what is his and go wherever he wishes, if he is displeased with us, once he has come of age, and has seen what goes on in the city, and has seen ourselves, its laws. None of us laws will prevent it or forbid it if any of you want to go to a colony or go to live somewhere else as a foreigner. Because we and the city are not to your liking, you may go wherever you want and take your possessions with you. But should any of you remain, seeing the way that we administer justice and manage the city in general, we then declare that the person has agreed with us by his action to do whatever we order him to do, and we maintain that anyone who disobeys commits a threefold injustice. He disobeys us, we who begot him; he disobeys us, we who nurtured him; and having agreed to obey us, he neither obeys us nor persuades us otherwise if we are not acting aright. Even though we lay the options before him, and do not issue rough commands to do what we tell him, no, we offer two alternatives: either do as we say or persuade us otherwise. But he does neither of these. Well, Socrates, we declare that if you do what you have in mind, you will be just as open to these allegations as any other Athenian, more so in fact, and if I were to ask, why is that, they would probably rebuke me, quite justifiably, saying that I, more so than any Athenian, have accepted this agreement with them, for they would declare, Socrates, we have strong evidence that you are fond of us and of the city, for you would never have spent more time at home here than any other Athenian, unless you were especially fond of her. Indeed, you have neither left the city to go to a festival except once to the Isthmus, nor did you go anywhere else except on military service, nor have you ever made any other journey abroad, like other Athenians, nor have you been taken with a desire to know about another city or any different laws. No, we were good enough for you, and so was our city. You chose us, and you agreed to live under us as a citizen, with such eagerness that you even begot your children here, so much did the city please you. And even at the trial itself, you could have proposed exile as a penalty if you wanted to, and you would then have had the city's permission to do what you are now trying to do against her will. At the time, you made out that you would not be troubled if you'd had to die, and said you would choose death before exile. But now you are neither ashamed at your own words, nor do you show any respect for us, the laws. In an attempt to destroy us, you are doing what the basest slave might do, trying to run away, contrary to the contracts and agreements under which you undertook to live as a citizen. So answer this question for us first. Are we speaking the truth when we declare that you have agreed by your actions, if not by your words, to live as a citizen in accordance with us, or is this not true? What shall we say to this, Crito? Shall we do something else, or shall we agree? We must agree, Socrates. In that case, they might say, aren't you contravening your contracts and agreements with us? You were not forced or deceived into agreeing, nor were you compelled to decide in a hurry. No, you had 70 years, during which you could have departed, if we were not to your liking, or if the agreement seemed unjust to you. But you did not prefer either Sparta or Crete, whom you have often declared to be well regulated, or any other Greek city, or any barbarian city either. Instead, you spent less time outside the city than the lame, the blind, and all the other disabled folk. So you, more so than your fellow Athenians, are pleased with the city and, obviously with us, the laws. For who would be pleased with a city devoid of laws? And now, will you not abide by your agreements? You will if you heed us, Socrates, and you won't become a laughingstock by leaving the city. Yes, indeed, consider what good you will do to yourself or any of your own associates if you contravene these agreements or fall short of them in any respect. Indeed, it is quite obvious that your associates themselves also run the risk of exile, losing their status in the city, or confiscation of their property. But taking your own case first, if you go to a nearby city such as Thebes or Megara, both of which are well regulated, you will arrive there as an enemy to their constitution, Socrates, and anyone there who cares for their own city will view you with suspicion, regarding you as a subverter of their laws, and you will confirm the opinion of the jurors and make it seem that they decided the case correctly. For presumably, anyone who is a subverter of the laws will seem, most emphatically, to be a corrupter of young, unreasoning people. But what if you avoid the well-regulated cities and the men who are most orderly? And if you do this, will you have any reason to live on? Or will you associate with these people and, without any shame, discuss what ideas, Socrates? The same ones you discuss here? That of excellence and justice, regulations and the laws are of the utmost value to people. And don't you think that the conduct of Socrates will appear unseemly? You should think so. Will you then keep away from these places and go instead to Thessaly, to Crito's friends, where there is, indeed, plenty of disorder and unrestrained behaviour, and they will probably be delighted to hear you tell of the comical way you ran away from the prison, having put on some disguise, or wearing the leather garment of a peasant, or the sort of thing that runaways are usually dressed in, and how you changed your own appearance. But will no one mention the fact that, as an old man, probably without much of his life remaining, you had such a greedy desire for life that you dared transgress the most important laws? Perhaps not if you don't upset someone. But if you do, you will hear much that is unworthy of yourself. So you will live on, the fawning slave of everyone. Doing what? Eating your fill in Thessaly, having travelled all that way for a dinner? And what will come of these arguments of ours about justice and excellence in general? Well then, do you want to live on for the sake of your children, so that you can rear them and educate them? What about this? And once you have brought them to Thessaly, will you rear them, educate them, and also make exiles of them, so that they may share in this advantage too? Or if you don't do this, and they are brought up here while you are still alive, will they be better brought up and educated when you are not with them? In fact, these associates of yours will care for them. Is it the case that if you go off to Thessaly, they will care for them? But if you go off to the next world, they will not care for them. If any of those who claim to be associates of yours are actually of any use at all, you must believe they will care for them. So, Socrates, heed us, we who reared you, and do not reckon children or life or anything else to be more important than justice, so that when you arrive in Hades you will be able to say all this in your own defence to those who rule there. For even here, if you do this, it will not prove better, more just, or more holy, either for you or any of those who belong to you, nor will it be better when you arrive there. Rather, as matters stand, if you depart this world, you depart unjustly, treated by your fellow men, and not by us, the laws. But if you escape, having returned injustice for injustice, and evil for evil in such a disgraceful manner, contravening your own agreements and contracts with ourselves, and inflicting harm upon those whom you should harm least, yourself, your friends, your homeland, and us, then we will be angry with you. Whilst you are alive and in the next world, our brothers, the laws in Hades, will not receive you graciously, knowing that you also undertook to destroy us as best you could. So do not heed Crito, and do not do what he says. Do what we say. So take note, dear friend Crito. These are the words I seem to be hearing, just as the frenzied dancers seem to be hearing the pipes, and the very sound of these words is reverberating within me, and makes me incapable of hearing anything else. Mark my words, then. If you say anything contrary to the views I now hold, you will speak in vain. Nevertheless, if you think it will achieve anything, speak. No, Socrates, I have nothing to say.